I recently decided to embrace the hipster filmmaker lifestyle and got my hands on one of those film photography cameras. A few days into researching how to use this camera, I was a bit taken back by the comparatively primitive features to digital cameras. There's no electric viewfinder that lets you know whether or not you're in focus or whether or not you're exposed correctly. And then it hit me. How the actual did Spider-Man fight crime while simultaneously taking photos of himself with a film camera?
NANI?!
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're asking the real questions here. Or rather, I've taken the time to research Peter Parker's camera choice and study the way he uses his camera in taking selfies while he perpetually punches the nonsense out of New York's underbelly, and created simulations in Insomniac's Spider-Man based on the two previous points to arrive to a sensible, educated guess as to the practicality of Spider-Man's Instagram side hustle, as well as a peek into his psyche, while you, my beautiful viewers, are enlightened. Because that's just what we do around here. We stay woke, like going to sleep. You can quote me on that one too, you can have one for free. And let me tell you right now, I am amazed at the results. Like, you're gonna see for yourself in a moment, but in short, I am astounded at the amount of time it took Peter Parker to set up his camera before he actually went ahead and stopped criminals. Now, before anybody decides to politely remind me that Spider-Man is just a work of fiction and that I should suspend my belief, have you ever thought that perhaps that's just what the man wants you to believe? You're on I rest my case. God damn it. Now, with all that said, Exhibit A. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man sports a Canon F1. The key things to know here is that the camera has a built-in exposure tool, meaning Peter wouldn't have to whip out an external light meter every time he wanted to correctly expose photos on the fly. He likely had the lens and the camera set up in a way where everything in shot was in focus. Lastly, the Canon F1 has a built-in self-timer that gives Spidey about 10 seconds to quickly frame everything up and then jump into the action before copping a photo. So from what I can tell, Spider-Man swings near the action, quickly finds a spot to place the camera, takes a moment to correctly expose, sets the self-timer and jumps right in. Cool. And so with the parameters set, I went into Insomniac's Spider-Man game and did exactly that. Now before I do some quick maths, I just want to come out and say that the photos I took were terrible. I could not, in good conscience, attempt to sell any of these photos. So for Spider-Man to get the high quality in-action photos that we see in the Sam Raimi films, he's either a very talented photographer or there's a lot of trial and error. As I said before, Spider-Man spends an uncomfortable amount of time setting up the camera when people are either in danger or up to no good. On average, it took me approximately 1 minute and 36 seconds upon arriving on the scene to find somewhere to dump my camera and go in and save the day. The shortest being 34 seconds and the longest being 1 minute and 55 seconds. That's a bloody long time. At one point there was a guy being robbed at gunpoint and I still was like, wait, hold on, wait, let me just cop this photo real quick. I don't even want to mention the amount of times I took a photo and Spider-Man wasn't even in frame. Which brings me to my last point, the crescendo if you will. Why do it? Is the money really worth the hassle of potentially risking lives just to make some quick cash? No. No, it's not. Let me explain. In Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, Peter Parker was paid $300 for 6 photos. According to the New York Times, in 2002, the starting price for a 1-bedroom flat at Queens was $850. Let's assume that Spider-Man takes 6 decent photos a week. That's $1,200 a month to live on. And listen, I'm sure it's doable, but dear Lord, talk about not knowing your worth. Listen, what Spider-Man really needs is some kind of manager. Because the way I see it, he's doing a whole lot of profiteering without actually making any profits. So clearly he's not doing it for money. And if he isn't, then my only natural assumption is that he's doing this for his ego. And you know what? I don't blame him. Isn't that literally what Instagram is all about? Anyway, with that said, I think I've been talking for too much, so I'm gonna love and leave you. Peace.